Guys, this is the LSU Players Show on Fan Media Network. So, all right, guys. Hey, great to see you guys, man. Welcome to the show. This is the Tiger Players Show. Real talk. Let's talk about you guys a little bit. All right? And so I first want to start off with Eddie Fuller from Leesville, Louisiana. He was a tailback for LSU from 1985 to 1989. He was drafted by the Buffalo Bills in the 4th round, 100th pick. He was a 4-time AFC champion and also a 4-time Super Bowl participant. Eddie is currently working in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the state of Louisiana, as a hospital representative, pharmaceutical representative for a pharmaceutical company. I'll let him expound on that if he would like. And Eddie has a wife, and I want to say 2 daughters, if I'm correct. And he was a humongous leader for us 3. When we got there, Mike got there, played an extra year with him, but Chad and I were able to just play one with him. And in my opinion on Eddie is, he was probably one of the first guys that I met at LSU that kind of took me under his wing, and he was really soft-spoken, but he was a warrior on the field, man. He was a true all-purpose back. He was one of the guys who could catch the ball out of the backfield. He could run the ball, and he could block. And he was really an invaluable force in that backfield. Eddie also, if history is correct and we remember this, was the participant in the LSU Auburn game where Tommy Hodson and him connected on the big touchdown that rocked the Richter scale at the geology building. In the geology building, that was we were able to give it the name, the earthquake game, from that. And so Eddie is famous, and he's one of our tremendous leaders that we had. And I'm happy to have you here, Eddie. And man, anything you want to say? How you doing? What's going on in Baton Rouge? How's the weather? What's shaking, man?
Well, no, it's good to be here, Harold, man. And I hadn't seen you in a while as well. So everything's going well. I think everybody is, right now we've got the COVID, that the virus that we're all dealing with. But other than that, man, everybody's healthy and safe, and just trying to get this 2020 in a rearview mirror.
That's right, man. I agree. Same here, man. Same here. The second person I want to introduce is Michael Donnell Garrett from the Woodlands, Texas, or as he says, I'm from Detroit, boy. What up, though? So Mike Garrett was a tailback initially and ended up moving to the flanker position, which is now like the Z position. But Michael was another key piece to our team. He always was there when you needed him. And honestly, I think his senior year probably was his most productive year. And unfortunately, he had a career-ending injury to his ACL. But I can remember Michael on several occasions making huge catches that moved the chains, and we were able to continue the drives on offense. He attended McCullough High School in the Woodlands, Texas. He was All-American. He was a blue chipper. And man, great to have you, Mike. Man, what's going on?
Man, glad to be here. You guys are my brothers. And what people I always tell this, your unfortunate injury against Texas A&M back in 1991, we had actually hurt your knee. And
absolutely.
As a result, we had lack of productivity from the tight end position. So Curly Hoffman, head coach at the time at LSU, brought me to his office and said, we need to move the ball. We're not getting a lot of productivity from the tight end position. So we're going to go with the 3 wide out set, and we want you to be the W in that. A wide receiver at LSU. Obviously started my career off as a tailback, played 3 years of Archer, 2 years with Curly Hoffman. But, aside from some of the games that we didn't win, I always treasure the rich relationships that I have established and maintained throughout the years. And a little lanyard for you as well. Eddie, my redshirt freshman year, he and I were actually roommates when we would travel on the road. So that's what we became close to.
Absolutely. So you got, man, you got the best of both worlds, man. You got the best of both worlds. So the next person is very near and dear to my heart. We signed in 1989. This young man was an exceptional high school quarterback, probably one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. He attended University Lab High School on the campus of LSU, and he was a parade all. He was a golden boy, man. He was a parade All-American. He was an academic All-American in high school, and he pretty much he ran, he passed, and he punted, and he also played basketball. And his name is Chad Loup. He was our quarterback, and he's my quarterback in my heart for life. And I tell you, man, he's one of my best friends. You know, I've called him in the good and the bad. He's always been there for me. And a little bit about his LSU career. You know, it angers me a little bit because I thought he should have been our quarterback from day one, from 1990. We redshirted in '89. I thought he should have been the guy from freaking day one. He did everything right. He was smart. He was charismatic. He knew how to get the huddle together, and he knew how to find Harold Bishop when he needed it. And so he was my guy, man. He was my guy. We had, you know, unfortunately, we had two head coaches, Mike Archer as well as Curly Hallman. And if I can remember correctly, we probably had 4 or 5 offensive coordinators. And to say that, man, you know, that tells you the kind of guy he is. And the next thing I'm going to say about him is he not only was an academic All-American in high school, he was also a 4-time academic All-American, 5-time maybe academic All-American in college. So his last year, Chad, I'm going to read this correctly, he was a GTE All-American District 6. I'm not sure what that means. That's like over my head. That's a class I couldn't take.
Me neither.
And so now Chad resides in Baton Rouge with his family, and he is an orthopedic physician with the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, which works specifically with the Louisiana State University LSU football team and other athletic teams. So, guys, great to see you. Great to talk about all this good stuff. I'll introduce myself because I skipped myself, but my name again is Harold Bishop. I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I went to Central High School in Tuscaloosa where I was an All-American, All-State, one of the top tight ends in the nation, all that good stuff. And man, got recruited by Alabama and all the good stuff. And man, I took one visit to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and that's all it took, man. The food, the pretty sights, the eye candy, man, I tell you what, it was a great visit, and I ended up in Baton Rouge. So I tell you, my career also went forward, and I was able to get drafted in the 3rd round of the 1994 draft. I was the 69th pick in the 3rd round of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I ended up playing 6 years, 1 year in the World League. Came back and finished my career after the World League in Pittsburgh, and I got this sweatshirt. I'm rocking this sweatshirt because we're undefeated now, and man, I'm rocking it, man. Go Steelers. So let's get into some talk about what's going on, the current state of LSU as a system, from top to bottom. Some of the things that are going on with the school. If you guys can expound, I'll let you guys decide who wants to talk first about it. And also the state of athletics and what we're going through and the transition we're going through after winning a national championship, going 15-0, and having a quarterback that was the 1st round pick of the 2020 draft. So let's talk about that a little bit. You guys can step up to the mic and talk. Whoever wants to start, just speak up and give me some real talk.
Let me take the ladder as far as the LSU football team.
Wow.
I say 3 things. You guys remember Aaron Rodgers. And I want you to remember this. Aaron Rodgers, relax. 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 It's going to be fine. The second thing is patience. Excuse me. Manage your expectation. The third thing is patience. Why do I say that? From the 2019 national championship team, and you guys heard this before, so I'm going to just be a little bit redundant if I may. LSU lost a total of 31 players. 14 players got drafted in the NFL. 5 were first-round picks. You add losing Joe Brady, co-offensive coordinator. You add losing David Aranda, defensive coordinator. And you also throw in COVID-19, no spring football, new staff members, Bo Pelini, Scott Linehan, and this is what you get. This is what you get. It's not an excuse, it's reality. So again, absolutely. I tell my LSU family, I tell my LSU friends, relax, manage your expectations, and have patience, because there's no team in America not named Alabama that can overcome something like this.
Right,
we will get back, but we had a lot of attrition in key areas, and that, like I said, this is what you get. We'll be fine. This is a mulligan year, pandemic year. We'll learn from it. We'll recruit up. We'll be fine, and we'll get back to LSU football back in 2021.
Well, I tell you, Mike, that's a very analytical view of it, and it's really a great way to look at it. You know, and I can compare it to, you know, when you were a freshman, Michael, you guys ended up going to the SEC championship game and not the SEC championship game. I'm sorry. You guys won the SEC in 1988. Beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I was at the game as a recruit for Alabama, and I can remember that. Great game. David Brown kicked the winning field goal, and the rest is history. However, you know, when Chad and I got to school, you know, we came into a program that also lost a lot of key players. Mm-hmm. And we ended up being redshirted our freshman year. And then we were really pushed into starting roles as freshmen, redshirt freshmen. And we were really good players, but a freshman or a redshirt freshman is still a freshman. Right. And so until you get your cleats dirty and you get some scratches on your helmet, man, you know, it's going to be what it is. And so, you know, I sympathize with them. You know, I would love to see them play better. However, you know, until we get where we need to be as a complete program, again, top to bottom, president, system, athletic director. And when I say president, system, athletic director, the next thing right under that is LSU football, period.
Yeah.
And so it starts at the top and then it rolls down. And so we got to get some things together. And again, you know, I think we'll bounce back, but you know, the proof is in the pudding. What are we going to do to fix this? We haven't seen it transition week to week. But again, it was a shortened training camp. It was a shortened spring, and then we're playing football in a pandemic, and it's a contact sport, and it's a contact virus. So,
and you also had key opt-outs. You had Jamar Chase beginning of the season. Most recently, you had Terrence Marshall. I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
absolutely. Real talk,
it's
man.
reality, not excuses.
Yeah, real talk, Mike. Real talk. Chad, man, your thoughts, Chad.
Well, I think you guys are kind of hitting the nail on the head about the youth of the program. I mean, when you look at who we lost and the team you fielded for the first game this year, I mean, it was an entirely different team. I mean, and especially on the offensive side of the ball, you lost all of your key weapons from last year. And Harold, you're exactly right. A freshman is very different than a senior. So especially at the quarterback position, you know, what they're doing now with Max and TJ kind of going back and forth, that's difficult in the best of circumstances to do, especially now that they're both freshmen. It makes it even twice as hard. So I think, you know, I agree with you guys that there's going to have to be some time because these guys have to develop. You saw a little bit of that in the A&M game on the defensive side. I guess the best way to say that is the defense played with a little more football acumen, a little more sense on, you know, looked more like what we would expect from that kind of defense. The other thing that's hard is expectations in LSU football land, so to speak. You came off the best year that I personally have ever seen in college football, and really lightning in a bottle. I mean, I haven't seen a team like that ever. So you can only really go down a little bit from that. So, and unfortunately, as far as it seems to have fallen, I don't think it's as far as people want to believe. You got some very good players on both sides of the football, and I think you'll see those guys regroup. Offensively, I'd like to see a little more of the type and style of offense we had last year. But, these guys are going to have to grow and develop to be able to do that. So it's not going to be an immediate thing.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I got a specific question, and you can answer it how you want to answer it. So, of the two quarterbacks that we currently have rotating in and out, when I look at them, I see a kid that is playing really at a high level. So when I look at TJ Finley and I look at him, I look at his intangibles, his footwork, his ability to get the ball in and out of his hands, and his arm strength. In my opinion, he is the more polished of the two right now. However, Johnson is also a very, very good quarterback. But, Chad, you went through this. You played the quarterback, carousel. And at some point, you have to get one guy and stick with it. And that's my point. Finley, Johnson, whoever it may be, let's go with the guy. We have 2 more games maybe left. We got to establish the guy. If they need to fight it out in the spring, let them fight it out in the spring. But we need an identity right now, in my opinion. We need a football identity. Go ahead.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. I'm not a fan of rotating quarterbacks. I think it causes your offense to kind of get out of sync in the course of a game, and that's not really what you want. I agree with you. TJ has all the tools. But back to the freshman situation, and some people may argue where he's played a season, so he's not truly a freshman. Making decisions is, I think, the biggest thing. And that's the hardest part of playing quarterback at this level is the mental aspect of it. The physical, he could go out on the field with any of us right now and make every throw you ask him to make. But it's making decisions in real time, quickly, and with confidence to where he is delivering the football where he needs to deliver it, and he's not second guessing, and he's not necessarily not thinking, but he's playing and he's reacting to things. And I think he would get that. And I agree with you, Harold. I think they should probably just pick one of these guys, if it's TJ, if it's Max, and just go with them. I think that'll give the team a little more confidence going forward.
Absolutely, man, absolutely.
TJ is extremely physically gifted, but I got to be totally transparent with you. When I'm watching that second game, and he dropped back, man, he didn't look decisive in his decision making.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. He's not making decisions, and at this level and what he's doing, if you notice what Joe did last year, he was making decisions, but he was making decisions on time. The ball was coming out on time. There wasn't a lot of hesitation. And some of that's coaching, but some of that's just maturity. Some of that he's just going to have to develop. And he may not get that for another year or so. But I think the coaching staff having confidence in one of those guys going forward will help them tremendously on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah. But again, I'm looking for consistent play, offense, defense, special teams, and I'm looking for a consistent effort from the kids. I can say this, going back to our careers at LSU, they were tumultuous, but I cannot remember, maybe a couple of games. I would say Florida State and maybe Florida. 91, Florida State, or 90 Florida State, and probably 93 Florida, that we just got beat down, okay? But when we were there, we were in every game. We just had, and me and you talked about this a little earlier, Chad, we just had, mistakes, little things that we could have tweaked in our techniques, in our preparation, and also the coaching staff could have tweaked. Sometimes we didn't make the adjustments. Sometimes we might have been the wrong doggone defense. Sometimes we just probably needed to throw it to the doggone tight end down the middle to move the chains.
That sounds like with you, that was always the answer, right?
It was always.
Hey, Chad,
you were always open. Always open.
Absolutely. Throw me the A route.
Throw it to me, Chad. I'm open.
That's right, baby. That's right, baby. Well, listen, guys.
But you know, speaking of the tight end, number 2, and I forget his name off the top of my head. That's another weapon. That guy is excellent. You know, you talk about good players. You know, that guy is going to be a stud. He's going to be a first-round pick. But we got to get him in the offense in a meaningful way. And you know, those are the kind of things that just take a little time. You know, you alluded to no spring practice and other things. Take time to develop that stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Mike, what do you think about the tight end position at LSU right now? What do you think about the young man that's playing tight end right now?
He's a Kyle Pitts clone. Kyle Pitts is the tight end. They flex him out at Florida.
Yeah.
And he's almost, and you need to compare anyone because everyone has unique talents, but you're looking at a profile that almost identically mirrors each other. And he can do everything. He can catch the ball. He can be an inline blocker. He's got great hands. He seems to have a pretty good feel of the game, and he's only grown and developed as the season has progressed.
Right.
So the future is extremely bright for him. But as we collectively have all said and agreed, I mean, it takes game time minutes to get that experience. What people don't realize, and what I try to explain to people, they don't understand the crowd noise, the vernacular, what you're trying to process. That's a lot for someone young to process. And
quickly. You have to do it with speed. It's got to be done quickly. You know?
And it kind of goes back to Chad's point where he said, you know, you as a quarterback, you know, it has to be in sync. And so I can remember playing against our sophomore year, Chad, playing against the University of Georgia, and I dropped the key pass. But doggone, man, like 2 series before, you were in the game and you were throwing darts at a different velocity, in a different way that Jesse Daigle threw the ball. Jesse Daigle was a good quarterback, but you threw a ball that I could catch, that I was comfortable with. You and I threw and caught most of the time in practice. You got most of the reps, you know, and we were in that quarterback carousel. We were trying to play a number 1 offense and a number 2 offense, and we went from playing with Coach Archer for playing 80 snaps a game.
Yeah,
and so, you know, in that game, again, we were on the goal line. If I would have caught that pass, we probably would have had a chance to win that game. But I can remember, man, somebody else came to the game. I guess they wanted Jesse because he was a runner, but you were a runner too. And man, the ball was so doggone hard, man. I ended up knocking it with my knee and went through the doggone field goal. So man, that just tells you what you said is right. You know, you have to practice. You have to get game snap with who you're going to be playing with on a daily basis. And I think that's why Joe was so good last year. He brought those guys together when he first got there. And again, if you can remember, he didn't have all the great success initially. It was after he went through a season when he had his ups and downs, and they came together and they got their synergy together, and we developed an offense that had an identity.
To host a player show or appear as a player on a player show, simply create a profile on Fan Media's iOS app or website. Select your teams and make a short intro video on your phone. Show hosts, reporters, former players, and superfans can use our Get Verified feature and make an intro video as well. And our